Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be talking about Rivals of Aether 2 at LACS Rivals, which took place this weekend. And this is Rivals of Aether's first ever major invitational event that they've ever had like this. And suffice to say, it went extremely well. Absolute bang. We're mainly going to be focusing on the top 8 for today's video, but our top 16 finishers are going to be Gluttony, Amsa, Hungrybox, and Mango in 13th. Cody Schwab, Luck, Mars, and Squanto in 9th. In 7th you had Void and Plup. 5th was Leffen and Rongunshu. 4th was Ion, 3rd was Mystery Soul, 2nd was Zeebee, and winning the entire thing was, of course, Cake Assault. And as I said in the intro, we're pretty much spending all of our time in the top 8 for today's video, but there were a couple upsets that happened beforehand that I do want to mention to our top 8 seeds, and the first one is going to be Lucky. Ends up getting upset by Plup 2-1 in the winner's side in Maple versus Ronald, which I don't think is super swingy into either character's favor, and those are potentially the best 2 characters in the game right now, so for Plup to be able to pull that off just shows that he's already very fundamentally solid in this game, but we knew that based off his run. And once in the loser side, you do have Luck getting a win over Amsa, but he actually ends up losing the Ditto to Leffen in a 2-0. And coming into this event, I had Luck pegged as the best Ronald player in the world. I feel like that was the general consensus, but probably not at this point considering the run that Leffen had. And another player that was in contention to that is going to be Squanto, but he falls at a similar position to Luck, 9th place exactly. He's going to end up getting a win on Void in the winner's side before falling to Cake Assault. Can't really feel too bad about that one. And then he runs into Rongunshu in the loser side, and that is definitely an unlucky draw for Squanto. Rongunshu himself actually ends up getting upset by Cody Schwab in the winner's side, so shouts to Cody for that because he was actually like cooking on that Zetterburn. I was shocked at how clean it looked, but once Rongunshu got sent down to the loser side, they just looked like way better. Maybe those initial game nerves were shaken off because they just looked really dominant in those sets versus Mango and Squanto to get themselves into the top 8. So there you have it. You're gonna have Luck and Squanto falling before top 8. 2 of our Ronald players just not making it in there, and you are gonna have Rongunshu, despite being upsetted, still getting top 8 loser side. Let's get into this top 8, starting off with our 7th place finisher, specifically starting off with Void. He's going to start off this event with a 2-0 loss to Squanto, and I do think that Ronald was a little bit tricky for Forrest, the darts are really good at getting rid of the clone as well as clearing the smoke, and you just have a general mobility bonus on your side, making it really easy to navigate around the character, even though he does have a slight dish on. It's never really that big of an issue as Ronald because you are just able to weave in and out so expertly. In the loser side, he's going to end up getting 2 wins over some Zetterburn players, the first one being a 2-0 win over Gluttony, the second one being a 2-1 win over Cody Schwab. And in that second game, Cody kind of cooked Void, I'm not gonna lie, and there was just games at this event where Cody looked like the best player in the room. Like in that set versus Rongunshu, for example, where he 2-0s him, he looked phenomenal. The second Cody was getting his hands on anyone, his advantage state was just so obscenely strong, and I believe he said give me like a week or 2 after losing a set and he could like be one of the best players in the venue. And I honestly genuinely believe that you just need to give this guy a week or 2. You just need to figure out some of the neutral and more fundamental aspects of the game because his on-hit stuff is already so absurdly strong. But back to the topic on hand, Void is going to win that set and get himself into the top 8, where he does run into Leffen, unfortunately, and does end up losing that one. I really like that this is the first time that Void and Leffen have actually played in Rivals, but it feels like they already have a rivalry because of all the crew battles that they have been in, and it does go into Leffen's favor 3-1. As I mentioned with the Squanto set, I do think that matchup is a little bit tricky for Forsberg. Nothing unwinnable by any means, but the darts can be a little bit annoying, and big props to Void for the run at this event. I don't think he is the best Forsberg in the world right now. I will say I do think Pikmon is a little bit better, but I love the way that Void was getting value out of down air specifically, just the sweet spot hitbox of it. He was almost always able to find it and get those reset combos onto the ground, forcing people into tech chase scenarios. And then he's just going to have the general stuff of being really tricky with the smokes. His double play was amazing, and they're going to be buffing the double as well soon, so hopefully you're going to see Void getting even more value out of that. I think if he continues to put time into this game and fully invest into it, he could absolutely be a staple as one of the best Rivals of 2 players, if he isn't already. And the other 7th place finisher is going to be Plup. He starts off this event with one of the biggest upsets in a 2-1 victory over Luck. And as I already mentioned, I think that's probably an even matchup. So for Plup to win it on basically even playing field is obviously extremely impressive. That he is going to lose 2-1 over Ion. And I definitely favor Maple in that matchup. I'd say at least +1 for Maple. She's just so overwhelming against Craig. The second she gets a hit on him, you're pretty much just going to die. But in Craig's favor, Maple is extremely light, and Craig is potentially, probably the best killer in the entire entire game right now. So it makes sense that in a tournament setting, you would have Ion, who also has more experience, to come out on top in that matchup. But I think if him or Plup were to play in a couple weeks, then it could be a little bit different. Regardless, though, in the loser side, you have Plup getting a 2-0 win over Mars to get himself into top 8. So at this point, Plup has just beaten every single Ronald player they put in front of him. But aside from the Ronald players, he hasn't been as successful. And unfortunately, that trend continues for him in top 8 because he ends up losing 3-0 to Rongunshu. But still a very solid run from Plup. Obviously, getting top 8, the first ever Rivals Invitational, has got to feel good. And I still think that Maple is the best character in the game. Now, maybe when it comes to playing in tournament, then Crag, then Rono, even Fleet could be a little bit stronger. But I think when it comes to, in theory, just thinking about the characters, Maple is easily the strongest. She has really good mobility. Rewrap combos are unbelievably broken. And the fact that, I don't know what it's exactly called, but the tether, where you can just instantly appear on your opponent after setting them away in the disadvantage state, is so broken. And Plup is getting a ton of value out of that throughout this event. Whether he just like dash attack someone away, nairs them, up air them, it didn't matter what he did. He was just always going to the tether and then hitting them off stage with a nair, hitting them when they're like really high up with an up air. And because of that, Maple's kill power really doesn't matter because you're hitting people when they're already in the blast zone. I think this character is unbelievably broken, and I think a nerf needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then people are going to start figuring it out, and it is going to be bedlam. On to our 5th place finisher, starting off with Leffen. And prior to this event, there's a pretty big question mark coming in regarding who is going to be the best Ronald player in the world. Is it Lucky? Is it Leffen? Is it Squanto? Who is going to pull away first? Well, Leffen definitely pulled away at this event. He starts off with a 2-0 win over Mars, beating someone in the Ditto, already a good start. After that, he gets 2-0'd by Zeebee, but beats Luck 2-0 to get into top 8. So prior to this event, I thought Luck was the best Ronald player in the world. For Leffen to be able to beat him already is a very good sign for him. Once in the top 8, he gets a 3-1 win over Void. And I kind of joked about earlier how it was a rivalry despite them never actually playing in tournament. Well, now they finally played in tournament, and it starts off in Leffen's favor, but I doubt that euphoria lasted as he immediately gets 3-0'd by Ion after that. So Leffen goes down 0-5 to Crag this week and had some very choice words for Crag, and I honestly can't blame him. I think Crag is probably in need of a nerf right now. There's a couple of characters in this game that are in need of a nerf. Rono is on that list, though. Let us not get it twisted. And I will say, Leffen said that matchup is really bad for Rono. Hard disagree with him on that one. I just think he wasn't playing it super well. You need to get value out of the darts in that matchup if you want to beat Crag off stage. You need to be pressuring him with darts so he doesn't feel safe to pull the rock wall. And it's really difficult against super high level Crags as well when they are going to be mixing up with side B. But it's not like Rono doesn't have the tools to be covering low with a dart and then double jumping with a forward air to cover the side B option. Or on stage, Rono's mobility is so much better than Crag's. Even when Crag has a rock in his hands where he can just disrupt the darts that Rono is throwing at him, you can still just like jump above him as Rono, use side B, use your way superior mobility to make that space against Crag. Once he throws the rock, then you're up in his face, and now he's in a terrible position. Now, I will say, I think the matchup is just even, despite Rono's mobility being way better than Crag's. I think the neutral being pretty significantly in his favor. On hit, Crag is still an absolute monster. You definitely got to give Leffen the credit there. And the second that he hits you, no matter where you are, no matter what move it is, you're probably taking at least 50% or you are going to die. And you don't have the exact same strength there for Rono as a character. Normally, it is going to take a little bit longer for him to get the kill on Crag, but we still have things like, you know, down tilt into up strong, down throw into forward strong. It's not like we are lacking kill moves by any means. Crag is just better at getting the kill, but Rono is better at getting the hit. So I would call that an even matchup, definitely. It's one that you need to put time into, though, absolutely, because Crag is a character that if you don't know how to figure him out, he's going to blow you up. And the other 5th place finisher is going to be Rongunshu. And as I mentioned, he ended up getting upset 2-0 by Cody Schwab in the winner side. And I think that matchup can be a little bit difficult for Claren just because Zetterburn is such an overwhelming character, not allowing Claren to actually space any of her moves because he's always just like literally right on top of you. But maybe not, because in the loser side, you had Rongunshu 2-0ing Mango. So maybe Cody Schwab was just on top of it in that matchup. And to get into top 8, you have Rongunshu getting a 2-0 win over Squanto. Once in the top 8, they then get a 3-0 win over Plup, looking really hot in the loser side. And I will say that Rongunshu is playing significantly better in the loser side than they were against that first set against Cody Schwab. You could definitely tell that there were some nerves evident in that one, but they seemed to pretty much just disappear as we got further and further into the event. But nerves or not, they end up falling to Zeebee in a 3-1. But I think this is a really good showing from Rongunshu, and it shows us what Claren can do as a character. And I think Claren is in a really good spot right now, aside from maybe her downer, which I think is stupid and I hate because you can just chain it into itself, everything else, you just get rewarded for being really good at spacing, for being creative in your combo routes, and you have so much creativity in your combo routes, and you're seeing Rongunshu do so much cool stuff, whether he ends his stuff with a neutral special, with a forward smash, up strong, it really doesn't matter how he found the stock, but he was finding the stock extremely consistently. Basically, the key to Claren is if you're spacing, you're finding success, and Rongunshu spacing is some of the best I have ever seen in a fighting game. This is a player that I absolutely need to see more of, and Claren is also a character that I just need to see more of, because at the top level, she is like one of the coolest ones by far. On to our 4th place finisher, that being Ion, and he had a really tough bracket in my opinion. It starts off with him having to fight 2 Maple players in Amsa and Plup, and he ends up winning both of those sets 2-1. As I mentioned, it's a difficult match for Craig just because of that big body. He gets clipped by pretty much everything that Maple puts out, and it really doesn't matter that he's significantly heavier than her because Maple's just killing him when he's like already in the blast zone with an up air or a neutral special, so that weight isn't a super big factor for Craig. Now, he is still probably better at killing Maple because it is still Craig at the end of the day, and that's like the one boon in that matchup and the one way where Ion was able to get a ton of value just stealing those stocks early. But aside from that, it is extremely difficult, and unfortunately for Ion, it doesn't get any easier, as immediately after beating the 2 Maples, he has the only matchup in the game that is potentially harder, that being Fleet versus Craig. And I think that of every single matchup in this game, this is the worst possible combination. And I know that may sound a little bit weird when a character like Loxodon exists, who is a lot worse than Craig, but Fleet, it just counters this character so perfectly. Forward air was designed to break the block. Edge guarding is the most free thing in the world. You're never able to recover as Craig. You get clipped by the tornado, you get clipped by everything as this character and just laddered off stage. It is so difficult to fight, and Ion did not find any success versus Cake Assault, falling down 3-0. Once in the loser side, he does get that 3-0 win over Leffen, and in the loser semis, you have our only game 5 of the entire event, that being between Ion and Zeebee, the Craig Ditto. And spoilers, it was also the best set of the event, and it wasn't even close. This was an absolute banger. And if I had to like make a distinct difference between Ion and Zeebee's Craig play, I would say that Ion just does not care. That guy is running in, he's going for the hard reach, he is so aggressive, and he doesn't really use the rock in neutral as much as he uses it in the advantage state. He waits till you're in a bad situation before he pulls out the rock to continue using it as pressure, where I feel like you have Zeebee using it a lot more as a neutral tool, a way where he's able to actually make space against his opponent, and I think that's really interesting to see. I don't think either of them is inherently correct. I think both of them you are able to get a ton of value out of, and it's not like you need Craig Rock in order to find success with this character in the neutral. Ion definitely showed us that with the wave dashes that he was doing into stuff like back air, into stuff like dash attack. You just have some crazy burst range options from Craig that just give him so much combo potential that we definitely saw Ion exploiting at this event. In 3rd place, you're going to have Mystery Soul, and they're our only top 4 finisher that wasn't projected to be in the top 4, replacing Rongunshu. And I will say that if Mystery Soul and Rongunshu played in the winner side, if Cody Schwab didn't get that upset, I do think that Rongunshu would have come out on top, just because I heavily favor Claren against Fleet. I think that matchup is extremely difficult, but that's not what happened. Cody Schwab did get the upset, and Mystery Soul 2-0s both him and Mego to get himself into the top 8 through the winner's side. Once in the top 8, they get a 3-1 win over Zeebee. Zeebee even going Claren in the game 3, but ultimately it doesn't end up panning out. And you have Mystery Soul finding himself in the winners finals against Cake Assault, and just like the last time he found himself in the winners finals against Cake Assault, it was a 3-0 in Cake Assault's favors. And in the losers finals, you are going to have Zeebee getting his run back against Mystery Soul in a 3-1 all Craig this time around. But really strong set, or tournament I should say, from Mystery Soul. He has easily solidified himself as one of the best players in the world of Rivals of Aether, to looking to be like a top 5 player in the world right now, getting top 3 at both of his last major events. And I do think that a nerf to Fleet is absolutely going to be coming. She's just been so dominant right now. But I think Mystery Soul is going to continue finding success anyway, because the things that he's really good at with Fleet, I feel like, are the things that aren't going to be nerfed. And that is specifically the movement. Mystery Soul's movement with Fleet is unbelievable. Specifically, the way that he's able to weave in and out with up B is so strong. And then all of the other Fleet stuff he obviously has down and packed. His laddering people off stage, juggling people with the arrows, just getting value of side B, which is super important to get value out of, because that move is ridiculously broken. And you saw Mystery Soul and Cake Assault constantly abusing it throughout the tournament. So really solid run from Mystery Soul. This is a player that gets nowhere near enough credit, because he is genuinely incredible. Just because there's another Fleet player in the world that's also the best doesn't mean that we can't talk about this guy. In second place, you're going to have Zeebee. He's going to start off with a 2-0 victory over both Hungry Box and Leffen to get himself into top 8 through the winner side. Once in top 8, he ends up falling 3-1 against Mystery Soul. Tries Claren in game 3, but doesn't end up finding success. And then has to fight a Claren of his own in the loser side against Rongunshu. And as I alluded to earlier, once they got sent down to the losers, they were playing amazingly, but not enough to stop Zeebee as he wins that 3-1. And then goes on to play the best set of the tournament, that game 5 Crag Ditto Ion Zeebee. Absolute banger. Zeebee comes out on top. And then he pulls off the most impressive upset of the tournament, beating Mystery Soul in a 3-1. Even though in terms of seeding, it's not an upset. I think Zeebee was the second seed. Just the fact that he won that matchup is like unbelievable to me. I still can't get over it. And then finally in the grand finals, he's not able to make magic happen twice as Cake, so it does end him in a 3-0. But amazing run from Zeebee. Matching his seed is obviously really hard to do at an event like this. And I mentioned earlier how Ion was kind of using the rock as a second layer to his aggression, where Zeebee has the rock a lot more ingrained in his game plan. It feels like he's moving with it in the neutral. He's taking it with him. He's using it just straight up as an aggressive tool. The shards as well, I feel like he was using a lot more than Ion. And because of that, I think that's why Zeebee was able to find a little bit more success, and how he managed to find success in that set against Mr. Soul. I still just genuinely can't even fathom how he got the dub there, but it is very, very impressive. Really quickly, both Ion and Zeebee were getting value out of this, but I feel like Zeebee was doing it more so, and that's just using up B to get the invincibility back on your ledge grab, just falling a little bit and then using that short distance that up B gives you, just instantly doing that over and over and over again, just refreshing your invincibility constantly was super, super money for just keeping that pressure off stage, and Zeebee was doing a great job at that. And our grand champion, to literally no one's surprise, is going to be Cake Assault with no games dropped. That is the second Rivals tournament that he's won with no games dropped. And this game has been out for like less than a month at this point. He's going to get a 2-0 win over Gluttony, a 2-0 win over Squanto, and then a 3-0 win over Ion, Mystery Soul, and Zeebee to win this entire event. And he is just like the best player in the world right now. Now, there are a couple of question marks that will come to challenge his title. Obviously, when Marlin is unbanned, he is going to be punching up for that throne. When Fleet gets nerfed, that is going to have significant ramifications. And I'm pretty confident that Fleet, Rano, and Crag are going to get nerfed. In terms of everyone else, I'm not really sure what is going to happen, but I'm pretty confident those characters are absolutely going to be touched on. But to be honest, I think Cake Assault would just switch to Force Burn if they neuter Fleet, because his Force Burn is also super high level, and he'd probably be the best player in the world with Force Burn. And I don't think they're going to completely gut Fleet, so Cake Assault can just play both characters, or he could just play Nerf Fleet and probably still find success. This guy just seems better than everyone right now. He could probably win with any character. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the sport. It's been absolutely unreal as late. If there's anything I left out, got wrong, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.